All righty, good Monday to you. I'm Fox 35 Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Jamie King.
And I'm Allison Gargaro.
Al, good to be with you here on this Monday. And boy, it's a menace between Cuba and the Yucatan now, right there at Cancun. And this is Idalia now, gaining momentum, gaining strength as we speak.
That's exactly right. And over the last week, we've been talking about just how warm the waters are in the Gulf of Mexico. And that's exactly where this system is heading.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, the track on this, we got the latest from NHC as 11 a.m. Wind still at 65. We've got that northerly movement. Now, yesterday was a real head scratch to the south. Now we finally have that northerly component. And
that's exactly what we've been waiting for, and likely not going to be moving over too much of a landmass right in those warm waters. And our latest track, just like the earlier tracks this morning, have it making landfall sometime Wednesday morning, likely as a Category 3 storm, Jamie.
Now, all this dependent on the forward speed, right? So if we increase the forward speed, then landfall will occur earlier on Wednesday. Right now, just extrapolating or looking at this at 8 a.m., closing in on the coastal areas known as the Big Bend, Allison, coming off the Panhandle and right on down into Dixie and parts here around Levy County. Cedar Key could get a pretty nasty swipe from this thing as it moves into Cat 3, winds at 115 miles per hour. That is a major hurricane.
That's exactly right. Storm surge, the gusty winds, as well as heavy rain possible is going to be a big factor. But what we like to say is that, yes, we're showing you the cone, but you can still see impacts far and wide outside of this cone, and it could be anywhere within here, maybe even a little bit to the west, if not east of what we are seeing right now.
Right, and a lot of times, sometimes these tracks, as we saw with Ian, for example, right? Exactly. We had a cone going up this way, and then we had the old windshield wiper effect back down to southwest Florida. So we're not saying that's going to happen, but it's critical just because, and to shed light on Allison's point, great point, is that a lot of times these impacts, these ill effects from these tropical systems will radiate well out to the east of that center of circulation. That's of concern.
Yes, 100%. And we talk about not only the winds, like I mentioned, but Jamie, also the potential for isolated tornadoes, mainly on the east side of the system. And that's exactly where we are here in Orlando.
Huge population base, over 2 million people in Orlando Metro. A lot of the smaller communities and surrounding counties as well have experienced something of this magnitude. So it's critical that everybody understand the possible impacts, the effects that this will bring far and wide to the state of Florida.
And our spaghetti plot models, which we always monitor here in the Fox 35 Storm Center, Jamie, have slowly been shifting off to the west of where we are here in East Central Florida.
Right, that's incredible. But there are some factors at play. This situation may not work out, all right? But right now, this is what it is on the forecast modeling, the spaghetti plots. Hurricane Center, not only with the spaghetti plot models, but also with our drop zone data as they fly in and do a little recon, we gain a tremendous amount, a huge volume of knowledge just by flying in, putting the drop zone down and getting that intel, that just intel-rich environment.
Truly incredible, and we get it in an instant, and so that we can bring updates to you guys at home that are wondering, what could you be seeing in your neighborhood? Well, we want to take you out to our tropical advisories and want to let you know there's a lot of colors going on, but we'll break it down for you, make it easy for you to understand. Further on the east side of the state, so further away from where likely the center of circulation is going to be.
So, Allison, yes, this is a hurricane warning here for all the coastal counties. Also now moving a bit inland here into Mayo, Florida, north of Cross City there. So we look at some of the northern counties. This area here is part of our Fox 51 WOGX television family, and we want everyone up there to depend on us, to trust us with the data as it comes in, because we do daily forecasting for that side of the state. It is our sister station. So we have hurricane warnings here. Also, Allison, for Sumter County, that's really the only inland county over the west central peninsula here involved in a hurricane warning. But off to the east of that, that's when we start to get into the tropical storm warning
warnings, watches, and even a hurricane watch up through Gainesville and Ocala. So likely we're going to be seeing conditions start to deteriorate within the next 36 hours. And up and down our east coast, basically just where Jamie was saying, we're seeing those hurricane warnings. We also have some storm surge warnings. So from Horseshoe Beach all the way down to Cedar Key and then continuing off to the south. So life-threatening storm surge is going to be a huge possibility as we head into the next day and a half.
Right, exactly. Some great points there. And I'll tell you, Allison, we're showing right now currently 1 foot seas on the wave plot. That's Franklin here behind Allison. And that in itself is throwing some humongous ocean swell, open ocean ground. As Idalia makes a move off the eastern Gulf of Mexico here, west side of the state, you can see all that wave action spreading off to the northerly direction. So we factor in wind-driven waves, ocean swell, on top of already very high tides. The moon is doing its thing on Friday. That is a full moon.
And that's going to be impacting things even if we didn't have a tropical system. So you can see why we're really concerned about the storm surge, and that was something that we watched with all the storms last year too. So it's very important to know what you have along your east coast. If you do live along the Gulf Coast, we just want to make sure that you're staying aware and getting to higher ground as the system does eventually make its way off to the north.
Now you still have time to prepare. There's a lot of homes here on local waterways, canals and such that feed into the Gulf. Beautiful section of shoreline, but a very low-lying area of shoreline, right? We think about beautiful Cedar Key, South Levy County. We've got a weather stem camera out there, and it is a very inviting environment there, but it's very low. So these big waves, the rise in storm surge and potential here will certainly inundate local docks, the backsides of properties. So maybe now's a good time if you're a boat owner to maybe get that done, get the preparations in place. And we are advising everyone to get those preps done, Allison, by tomorrow morning, because conditions will be going downhill quickly as we go deeper into our Tuesday.
Yeah, we want to make sure that if you do have to go out, maybe get some medical.
But before we move on here, the storm surge, Allison, 7 to 11 feet. That is a distinct possibility in portions of Dixie and Levy County.
And that's part of our Fox 51 viewership that we mentioned. So it's very important to realize that if you do live maybe on the bottom floor near the water, that you're going to want to get to higher ground, because that is something that is going to be of a big threat as we head throughout the morning and then likely into the early afternoon on Wednesday. Right,
and evacuations, the orders are likely to come down for these areas. When they say get out, just get out of Dodge. Don't even risk it, as this is a pretty dire situation. We talk about a Category 3, major hurricane. Right? I mean, look what Ian did. Obviously, a couple tiers higher, much stronger winds when it was all said and done. But, you know, these are low-lying areas along the Gulf side of the state. We have to be mindful of that and factor that into the overall plan to keep folks safe.
And that's why we want to try to tell everybody ahead of time so that you can get all of those orders in line to make sure that you and your family are staying safe.
Allison, we look at the Fox model and the wind gust forecast. Now, there'll be areas of higher wind developing, especially as we go in through Tuesday and into Wednesday. So these are gusts, tropical storm force, but we don't want to let our guard down because this could likely change.
Yes, that's 100% true. But it's just showing that the timing, sometime Wednesday morning, is when the winds are not only going to be picking up on the Gulf side of the state, but also through the Orlando metro and even up and down our east coast. We could be seeing gusts anywhere from 35 to about 45 miles per hour. And obviously those amounts are going to get much, much higher the closer you are to the Gulf of Mexico.
Right, and eventually here we go late Wednesday through Thursday, we get that wind shift out, and that starts to kind of help us separate from the system. Winds begin to ease into Thursday. Rain chances will follow suit. This is of concern tomorrow.
Yes, that's exactly right. On the east side of the storm, which we are, and that means a heightened tornado threat. So all the counties shaded in brown on your screen, that does include cities Gainesville, Ocala, the Villages, and all the way down to Tampa, have a 2 out of 5 risk for those tornadic activities, where it's going to be a possible risk, but still a threat. And don't worry, the Fox 35 Storm team will be here in the Fox 35 Storm Center from now until the storm is done to make sure that if there are any of those tornado outbreaks, that we will be here and bringing you the latest updates.
Yep. And I tell you, Allison, it's tomorrow. This is the overall view for severe weather. So we kind of factor everything into that. And as we look at day 3, today's day 1, tomorrow 2, Wednesday will be 3. You see a very likely mode of severe weather here. So that is of concern. That goes down to Orlando, Volusia County, far north Brevard. So everyone pretty much will get a taste of this. And it's going to be in play. And we look at the European modeling here, Allison. We were looking at this earlier, just gawking at the isobars here, those lines of equal pressure. Look how tightly wrapped that thing is. The current European model taking it pretty much in line with the NHC's outlook right now, as we showed the big cone forecast at the top of this presentation. And that goes out into the Carolinas. But something we noticed, Allison, with the GFS, a little different overall.
Yeah, it looks a little bit different as it's moving more into the western side of the Big Bend, the Panhandle. You see Tallahassee right here. So it could be making its way over. Again, these are two models that are, a bit separated. So could we be seeing something more in the middle? Well, it's just going to continue to update every few hours.
Yep, and it will continue to update as well. When the forecast changes, we change our messaging. We want to thank you for joining myself, Allison Gargaro. Again, we're here in the Fox 35 Storm Center with you on this Monday. YouTube Live will continue to update you as need be. Stay safe and stay with the Fox 35 Storm team as we track this big hurricane that's been starting to develop over the Gulf of Mexico. We got you covered, so keep it here. We'll keep you up to date. Bye for now.